Okay, so I kind of realized after I had already made the As Susan video and said Jubei would be next that I said Heart would be next before that, so I'm just going to do that now and try and get the Jubei one out of the way as fast as possible, since obviously I said I'd do them both, but I kind of messed up the order. So this team is really good. If your opponent is not playing a character who can deal with Heart's air game while they are in the air, then you will pretty much be guaranteed to run them over. And even if they can, they're still having to play against Heart, and her air game is... Even if you have a character who can beat her buttons out easily, she has so many different ways of mixing up her approach angles and coming at you at different timings that alone won't help you entirely. Like, it's not going to just win you the matchup. While it gets amazing OQ once it starts going, because obviously Heart is really good at that. You will generally be running Heart Point because she can abuse Susan's 6P super hard, because even if they block it here, I can true block string that from full screen. I can just charge at them at any distance, come at them at so many angles. I'm even getting a free mix situation, like I can do double overhead, I can do overhead low, I can do empty homing low, I can do empty homing throw. So just that, if you're on the ground, is a very messed up situation, because you can end up having to hold so much mix from a incredibly low commitment option. And it snowballs so hard. Beyond that though, she actually really likes its 4P, since she has literally no anti-air, because her 2B just has clash frames, and you should never be trying to anti-air with her DP, because that thing's hitbox is actually pitiful. So having this to help control that space is really nice, as she generally struggles with people over her head. Since while she can do this, if you were over her head, you're just going to be able to land and then start hitting her as soon as she stops being invulnerable, because you can just land. See that she did that and then jump again and start pressing buttons on her. Or just anti-air her right then and there. And Susan's 5P is okay as an Oki tool. Right, you're going to be doing like that, and then if they block the first hit, it'll be like you can then do that, pop CC, go into some more combo game, which Heart can keep generally burst safe if you're doing like that and that, because from there they can't burst that because you have clash frames. They can't burst this because you have clash frames, and depending on the character, they can't even burst it when she's actually moving, because she'll end up making them whiff and then you still get a punish. And they can't burst it after it hits either, because then you can homing cancel back, and that's a gigantic starter if they end up taking that, so you're going to be pretty good there. As far as Susan Point goes, you have nice tackle plus assist, you get good confirms, very plus. Her 6P is good in general, since it's a laser. It's not even just like Susan's 6P, which will, if there's a projectile in the way, will only hit the projectile. This just hits everything and clears the ground. And it's the fastest one that can't be stopped by a projectile existing. So you can dominate the ground really good with it. Doesn't lock down very long, but you don't really need it for that, because obviously that's not what you're using it for. Her 5P is okay, mostly by virtue of just it has like 7 extra frames of hit stop for no reason. meaning that it locks down for 7 more frames. So you can use it as your lockdown assist or like your OP assist. Her 4P is not great. It's pretty much got the same hitboxes as 2B, which all in all is not great, but it's decently quick. You'll use it some, but it's not something you're going to be relying on, so you're going to want to have a very solid air-to-air game on reaction. This team excels in its offensive gameplay as you have Heart's incredible offense thanks to her Oki, which leads into good damage if you active switch to Susan, or general burst safeness if you don't. As well as like, obviously, if say I did if you actually do that route starting from the J236B, you end up doing like 9k meterless easily, while you're pretty burst safe because Heart's actually kind of hard to burst against. So you get a lot of damage off of a vortex because it just repeats itself because your combos all end in that. So you just end up back in another homing safe jump, which you set up more mix off of to get even more reward, which is always very nice. As well as like, if they block this, you can set up fuzzies, though generally it's not the easiest thing to do since Susan's JA hits at such a weird angle, you can't really do it if he's too close to your opponent. But having fuzzies is always a nice tool to have, since it just adds an extra layer to your mix-up game. Obviously, I don't really think I should have to go over it too much, but you get unblockables with Susan. Points, OP, just go from that into unblockable setup, because you can just do that and then you just go into an unblockable, though that one wasn't, so it was a bit slow. But yeah, no, you get good reward off your unblockables, which you can do pretty easily. So obviously you just have that as a tool for the team. Another thing that, this is more of a hard thing I just don't see being done and want to note, is if your opponent's down to their last character, abuse this. That is a side swap like frame 20, frame 21 overhead. You can't react to it. It's completely ambiguous which side it's on. And if I use it with an assist, that's just a ton of damage that's about to come out. Like, it'll go into like 10k if I use cross raid for 2 meter there. Abuse it, it's broken. No one will ever block this. Like, you can just do that, collect so much free damage because you can't react to it. You can't even tell which side she's gonna be on because I can totally jump back in a lot of distance and not cross up. So like, you're just guessing so much, or I could just delay a 5B or something. So just abuse that, because once they're on their last character, what are they going to do about it? It'll make some DPs just whiff to the wrong side. And if they don't have an anti-air that'll hit on both sides, those also whiff. So just abuse that. Some other things worth noting, like you can use Grim Viper Active Switch on Black Laser, and that'll auto-confirm, while Heart can just home in or use a Love Ball from there and be pretty safe while you're generating pressure from full screen. Like, even though they could potentially try and like hit Susan and then anti-air Heart, because you have so much control over her homing, you could stop short and whiff punish that. Or actually, I guess you wouldn't whiff punish because they would hit Susan, but you can stop short, or you could just throw out a Love Ball if they like doing that right before, and create a situation where they're forced to deal with that instead. So just, there's a lot of great ways this team has to just start up pressure from anywhere on the screen, unless your opponent is in the top far corner, in which case your only real thing you get to do to them is just home straight at them and try and hit them. Overall, I think this team is very, very strong, especially in matchups that generally like to play keep away, because you cannot keep this team away from you. You just can't. It will force its way in one way or another. You can't really stop it, which is an incredible strength to have on a team that is so ridiculous once it is going. It has a couple problems, like I would say its disadvantage is very not good, since if you actually know how to play against the Heart and you frame trap her and stop her from jumping, or you just get above her head in general, it's going to be hard for her to deal in disadvantage, because obviously her DP is bad, her supers aren't good either, and her anti-air literally doesn't exist. The backdash is nice though, but when that's your only good defensive tool other than this, you're not that great on defense. And then of course Susan, his fastest smash option is frame 8. His backdash is not great, his anti-air is not great, his DP is not great. Only thing he has is this as an anti-sandwich that makes him uniquely good. So just when playing against this team, you want to be the one who establishes advantage first, and when you're playing this team, you want to be enforcing first, because you get some ridiculous stuff if you do, but it's going to be feast or famine. But that feast is gigantic, since you can start up Heart's amazing mix-up game really easily.